Good morning, podcast community. Well, you wanted Jim back and you got him. Jim Raps, and he's invited his friend Richard Hunt. So we're going to have fun today. And we didn't change it from last week. He's really the commercial connector, not the collaborator. But if you guys just think of Jim as a connector, not as a collaborator, not that he can't collaborate. So, Jim, since you're the main person, introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and who you serve.
Well, obviously my name is up there, Jim Raps. The company is Ridley with two D's, commercial cleaning. We clean anything in the commercial space.
Mm-hmm.
We clean all over the state of Georgia and beyond. And that is it. That's what we do. I named the company purposely so that there's no ambiguity there. People know what we do. I still get phone calls sometimes for other things like carpet cleaning or residential cleaning, and then we'll refer some of that stuff out, especially the residential cleaning. So we clean the commercial space.
Awesome. And your guest, Richard Hunt, I know what he does, but our viewers may not have heard of him. Richard, what do you do? Who are you? What do you do? And who do you serve?
So, Richard Hunt, I am owner, operator, senior network engineer for OTG Technology Partners. We take care of the IT networking systems, security, email for small businesses to make sure that their data is safe and their company is at work as long as they want to be at work.
Well, you said a word, securing your data. I hear cybersecurity, I hear breaches, I hear firewalls. What would our viewers need to know, and why is it important to secure your data?
Well, you need to secure your data just because you don't want to have those breaches that affect your clients, especially with sensitive data. We want to make sure that you are properly backed up and making sure that your users, your staff members are aware of what's going on out in the world as far as with cyber threats that are coming in and attacking small businesses throughout the world. Probably 95% of all breaches occur from the end user and not the equipment or software that you're using. It's the end user that's letting them in. So educating them, your staff is also a priority for us as well.
Last Saturday, I got a call from a friend of mine, and they emptied out one of his bank accounts for $35,000 and did it through his wife. And they rush you. They tell you to do this certain stuff, and before you know it, your account is empty. What would you say to my seniors that those threats are real? They play on seniors. How do you handle that kind of situation?
I mean, that's an educational piece, right? I mean, that's just something that everybody, not just seniors, need to know. You're going to get lots of pop-ups that come up on your screen. Recently had a senior who got into the same situation where pop-up comes up on the screen, says it's Microsoft or whatever. You need to call this phone number, and they call the phone number, and they sound so convincing over the phone, and then next thing you know, you're wiring money from a bank account to this unknown person for thousands of dollars. What you need to know is never ever call a number on the screen. You need to find a trusted person local that can help you with that. And that's one of the things that we do in our networking, is to find those trusted people to make those phone calls to. Never, ever call the number on the screen.
Yeah.
Pete, I've got a question for Richard. Richard,
Yes.
could you talk a little bit about this AI phenomenon, how they are the ability to trick people into thinking there's somebody that they're not, or somebody that they know. And so if I had a voice on the phone that sounded like, say, one of my daughters, and they had this down to a science and said, "Hey, I need you to send me here," I'm more likely to listen to them and be scammed. How is that affecting companies and people these days?
Well, generally, AI hasn't gotten that sophisticated where, it's the AI on that is more like bots that will send out email messages or text messages to you, pretending to be someone that you know closely. On the phone wise, as far as the AI, you could probably tell that the person is not, say, your daughter, but that it has gotten very good in the sense that sometimes you don't know it's a computer generated program that's you're talking to over the phone, right? You get that a lot, especially with telemarketers and things like that. So it's just, I come to the point nowadays that if one, I don't know the number, I don't answer. If it's an out of state number, I don't answer. You will get a voicemail, right, that you can check. It's just one of those things that you just have to be vigilant to make sure that you put your processes in place. Technology wise, there are certain programs out there that you can add to your phone that can help block spam and scam callers.
Mhm.
But sometimes that goes a little too far and it blocks legitimate callers. So um, I'm at the point of, if I don't know the number, I don't call it, I don't answer. And if it's out of state, I don't answer. I wait for it to go to voicemail. If they leave a message, I know who it is. If they don't leave a message, then it's not important enough for me to return the call.
Yeah, that's so good. Jim, what do you when I say the word trust, how does that relate to your commitment to BNI and what I mean, you've been in a lot of years, and so there's viewers that have never heard of it. What do you say to people out there that trust and how you operate your business? How can our viewers learn from that?
Well, that there's a lot I could say about it, but I'll start with what, if anybody's watching that does not know what that is, it stands for Business Networking International, and it started in the U.S. in 1984, I believe, by Dr. Ivan Meisner, and they have chapters all over the world. And no, it's not a cult; it's a great business networking system, which is predicated on on the giver's gain mentality and closed networking. So closed networking means that the people that network, when Richard and I network every Thursday morning, nobody else that does IT for Richard, or commercial cleaning or landscaping, whatever that seat is in your chapter that somebody owns, nobody else can come in the room and talk about that. It's yours. The trust factor comes from being in the room with these people week after week and getting to know them and like them and trust them. So we had two great speakers today, and both of them are Ernest Harris from Elm HVAC and Steve Gardner from Alpine Sign and Graphics, are guys that Richard and I have both known now for years. Actually, Richard was in the chapter before I even got there. These are people that you get to trust. And it's real important when you're inviting someone into your home, like Ernest would be. Think about what we do. We clean commercial buildings, so our clients are trusting us with the keys to their building and their alarm codes. So there has to be a level of trust. Both of those guys we trust. Richard, I trust. If we ever have anything that needs to be done around here, Richard takes care of it. And maybe I shouldn't say this live, but on little things, because we know each other a long time, I have to beg him almost to give me an invoice for small things. Sometimes he doesn't invoice for the small things because he understands the bigger picture, and I get that, and I love it and I respect it. But there are people like Jerome that we've had on before, Pete. Jerome does our books. Jerome has access to all of our company's financial information. It's kind of like your CPA. You have to trust these people. And BNI has really helped. It's not just the referrals. That you might get. It's the relationships, because then you have these folks, from the plumbers to the bookkeepers to the IT people, that you trust and you're comfortable with, and that really is priceless. You can't put a number on that. Richard is one of those people that helps our business run, and again, you just it's incredible to have that.
Yeah, there was a guy, he brought his coach, he bought a franchise in the senior living community. And I always I've noticed in the years, when you are like a corporate person where you're traveling all over the country, then you buy a local business, you have no earthly idea what local is. It's a total culture change, because you have to develop relationships with your local people. And even Todd, when Todd was on, he's Comcast guy from many years. And he said, I didn't know anybody. I didn't know the plumber. I didn't know the electrician. I didn't know anybody. So I wanted to develop relationships locally. So he joins BNI. And it makes sense that if you want your roots to get down into local businesses, BNI will connect you to local businesses. And to the point that our viewers, I want them to understand, is you could call Richard and you could be in a fire situation, not a real fire, but something shuts down. Because of that relationship and that trust, he's gonna come to your rescue, versus if you Googled IT support on a Friday night when your networks all go down, you're not going to get anybody. You'll be in the cold for all weekend long. And if you're not being able to address your problems right away, you're in trouble in business. Because
Richard's got this great video that he shows sometimes with somebody calling customer service, and remember that? And he's getting some, like, I'm not knocking the country, but like you're getting
but it's a reality.
Somebody in India, and they're not on the language barrier, and they're broken English, and they're not understanding it, and they're pulling their hair out. And finally, I think that's the one where he punches his fist right through the computer screen. So that's what you also get with Richard.
Yes.
You get Richard.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, that I always remember that video, because it is real life, because it seems like everybody oversees their customer service. And so, hey, if you oversee it, English is not your primary language. So thinking in English is different than speaking English. So you get people that are just reading a script. They have no idea of what the situation is. If it doesn't get in the script, they ain't solving the problem. And trying to understand them, it's not. I don't think it's anything more than that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to Richard for just a second. So how many years have you been involved with BNI?
BNI have been involved for 12 years.
12 years. Okay. Jim, how long have you been in BNI?
In this chapter 9, but 11 total.
Okay. So our viewers, I want you to understand. Here you have 12 years and 11 years. I always ask people, like when I'm talking to them in a business, and I say, how long has your receptionist been with you? And they'll say, oh, she's been here 1 month. I'm going, oh, that's not good. But if they say, oh, I've been here 28 years, you know that there's something working. So you've been in there 12 years. You go every Thursday. I'm talking Richard. And then 11 years, every Thursday you're going down there. So there's a reason why somebody's going to be involved in something for that many years. It works. It works because you got relationships, and business is relationships. If you don't have relationships in life, you're not going to be happy. But business relationships are so critical, because you have to develop them to be successful. So what would you say, Jim, when people say, like, why do you go down there every day, every Thursday, and hang out with your business friends? What would you tell them?
It's pretty easy. You know what the answer is? It's money. The relationships are great. We're talking about them, but we also are in business to make money. If a business does not make money and does not make a profit, they won't be in business at very long, right? Unfortunately, we see those businesses fail all the time. I was on the phone after the meeting today, Richard, with somebody that used to be in our chapter that I brought in years ago, and he left, and he's committed to come back next week because his business is floundering. It's floundering. And I said, because you're not doing the things you need to do. Now, for anybody who's watching and they go, all right, fine, Richard's in for 12 years, Jim's in for 11. Guess what? There are people in that room that make us look like rookies. Okay. Kirk Woody started the chapter 20 years ago. Jeff Dax was kind of with them at the time, I think. So he's 19, 20 years. Connie Weems Scott's got to be in there 18 years. Bill Frierson, I think 15 years. There's just, yes, you get your turnover, you get those, but we have a core of people in that room that's totaling about 70 members, give or take. Richard probably knows exactly what we have in there, but we do have that, but we have a core in that room that I would bet if we did the math, we probably average 8 years or more, the average member, because we've got a lot of people in that room that just keep coming back year after year, and they do it again for that reason. Yeah, the relationships are good, personally and professionally, but it's more that it works. BNI has a very simple plan, really. There's 5 things that they ask you to commit to doing for when you join. And if you do them, it's going to work. The people who don't make it are the people who refuse to do it, or want to reinvent the wheel, and they think they know better. Yeah. But yeah, we've been in it for a long time. There are people in it longer than us for very good reason.
And you have your daughter and your son-in-law in BNI. So what are those?
And I have an employee in another chapter.
Wow. So, and I love how you said it's the money, and the money is not evil. It's blood to your business. If you are not bringing in business, you aren't going to be around. You'll be out of business.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be clear on what you just said too, the daughter is not in my company. She and her husband own their own company. Yeah. Three Brushes Painting. And Amanda is in the chapter with Richard and I, and Charles is in a chapter up in Alpharetta.
Mm-hmm. So obviously over the years, they saw their dad or father-in-law be successful in BNI, and so they followed your footsteps. So that's always
in a way, yes. But Amanda's been doing this for as long as I have as well.
Well, she's not as old as you now.
No, she's quite a bit younger than me. They're looking too. So yeah. So she was in a chapter. If you really want to go back, she was in a chapter in Woodstock, and I was in one in Kennesaw, closer to where we both live. But we went kind of chapter shopping, and we found Smyrna, and we moved over to the Smyrna chapter, and it's been a good move. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool thing to have a father-daughter in the chapter. I mean, to my knowledge,
most of the time.
Yeah. Well, you have to. That's just life too. So, Richard, what would you like? What getting back to the business side? What's the number one problem you have been solving for your clients?
I mean, the number one problem really out there is really the cyber threats that are happening, the spoofing emails, things like that. Mainly like real estate attorneys. The real estate market is really getting hammered with spoofing emails that are redirecting wiring instructions. And so the buyer is, instead of wiring the money to the attorney's office, they're wiring money to the scammer because of the spoof emails and the breaches that happen with email systems. That's very prevalent right now, and you can lose hundreds of thousands of dollars in a split second with that. So that is probably one of the biggest problems out there right now. And like I said before, is that most of the time that issue comes from the end user because they're not paying attention, whether it's on the seller side or the other side of it. It's that end user that gets that email and doesn't look at the email address that it's actually coming to. They just look at the name. I can create any kind of email address through Gmail, Outlook, .com, Hotmail, whatever email address I can create an email address. I can even create a whole entire new domain and create an email address using the domain and assign it to a person, this person's name that everybody knows. But if you're not paying attention and you don't look at the email address where it's coming to, it could be coming from so-and-so at scamsrus.com. If you don't look at that email address and realize, oh, wait a minute, this is not actually the email address of what I'm dealing with, then whose fault is it? Quite honestly, you have to be vigilant. You have to look at these emails and be, especially when it comes to wiring money or dealing with any type of financial information. It's really the onus is on the end user at that point to be careful with it. So that's the kind of things that we deal with often. And I end up dealing with it on the after it happens versus getting ahead of it. And so then we have to, you can get the money back sometimes if you catch on to it immediately. You can get with the bank and they can, reverse the wire, or they can, if we get with the Secret Service who deals with that kind of stuff, we can maybe get some of your money back or something like that. But if it goes too long, you're out, and there's really not much you can do about it.
Yeah, that's the real threats that are out there. And my friend,
people are losing their life savings.
$35,000 when you're 80 years old is a significant amount of money.
Right.
And it just literally crushes you when you think, because they play off your fears. They rush things. They know they know human nature of seniors in this case. And so they go for your weakness, and your weakness can be very costly. So Jim, I know some of your principles, but tell our viewers, what has been your most successful thing that you've done to build your business? What would you say to our viewers that they could take home?
Doing what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that I think we've talked about before that is kind of lost in today's business world with a lot of companies. Being where you say you're going to be on time, doing what you say you're going to do, and giving the best customer service you can give. Because no matter what we do, our people are not always going to do their job properly. And every now and then we're going to get let down, and the service may not be exactly what we wanted, but it's how you react to that and how you fix the problem that counts. So we answer our phones or we call back within the hour. We're pretty much 24/7. I mean, yes, we like to sleep, and there's not a whole lot of emergencies at 2:00 in the morning, but we're available all the time. So I think that's probably the biggest thing, is really just keeping your word. And if anybody out there, I will say almost everybody that could be watching this can think of a time probably recently where, let's just say in your own home, that you've called for a particular service and you've had to make 10 phone calls and maybe somebody called you back. If the technician that's coming is not 2 hours late, or even if it's a product that you got to get on the phone and you got to spend half your day arguing over the telephone on something. So that's what we do. And I know Richard does the same thing. The customer service part is extremely important. I think that's if you're asking me for one thing, that would be
it. That is awesome. So, when we're on, the old TV station, they had a commercial break. So we're going to have a commercial break before we finalize everything. And I want to bring our attention to an event we're doing May the 22nd. This is mainly for our seniors, but for our aging adult children who can have a fun night with their parents to laugh. Ken Kington's a nationally known, he's been doing it for 30 plus years. He's going to be our keynote comedian. Tickets are $15. You can buy groups of 10 for $10 a piece. But you come out there because you want to take your mom and dad on a date, you want to laugh, and you want to know your vendors. Because in the stages of senior living, there's different stages and you change rapidly. And you got to know who your vendors are who can help you with this. So this QR code here, you can scan it if you're watching this. That's 46 minutes of gut-wrenching laughter. And it's going to be at Grace Community Church, which is right at 10 Center. It's going to start at 6 o'clock. From 6 to 6:30. Two comedians, Larry and Melissa, will come on. We'll take a break. We'll promote our podcasters, and we'll let you talk with your vendors that are in the senior community and people that touch the senior community. But here's what I want you to understand. There's going to be a book available, and this book will be like 100 different vendors in it. And if you can imagine this, Jim, because I know we haven't shared the same joy of books because you're a novel book reader. But this book has, if you can imagine 100 people promoting your business, that's the example of a collaborative book. So you're going to have potentially 100 people that'll be sharing your information. And that book, let's see if I can go to it right here. That book, you can put a chapter in the book, $50 to $1,000, $50 mentions. And then for people that want to get into the Podcast Academy, they can. So this will be available. So we always have to have commercial breaks because commercials pay for our program.
Yeah, but commercials, see, in a real commercial would get up and go to the bathroom or something.
Yeah, well, you can still go to the bathroom, but you don't want to go right now because you're going to tell our viewers who you are, how do they get a hold of you. If you need a commercial cleaner, you want to call Jim Raps. So, Jim, tell our viewers how they can get a hold of you.
Well, that's it. That's it right there. That's my cell phone. Feel free to call it, text it, whatever. If we've never met, please put some context in the text so I know who you are or what you would like. Like Richard said before, I am inundated daily with spam texts, emails, and phone calls all the time. Unfortunately, because I do business locally and these scammers are great at, I don't care where they are in the world, they can get a 404 or 678 or 770 phone number. And I kind of have to pick up because I don't know who it might be. So I do have to deal with a lot of them. The tell for me, by the way, getting off subject is, Richard knows this. If you say hello and count 1, 2, and there's no answer, you know it's one of those, what do you call it, predictive dialers or whatever.
Yep.
And that's when I just, I love the old days. I wish I had a real phone so I could slam it down. You can't slam your cell phone because you'll break it. But no, that's how to get a hold of me. Email me, text me, call me 24/7. We're here to help.
Tell people you got to give them, because you're on Spotify, Jim. So this is audio and they're driving and they're listening to you. They can't.
Okay.
So tell them.
I forget that stuff. So my phone number is 404-309-6093. It's 404-309-6093. And I'm Jim at Ridley, RIDDLEYLLC.com.
And if you don't know Ridley, you don't know Diddley.
No. You always screw that up. It's you don't know Diddley till you call Ridley.
Yeah. Hey, there's value in getting in the right order,
There you go.
So as we close down, Jim, Richard's information. Richard, tell our viewers how they get a hold of you.
So yeah, you can reach me, text messaging, calling. My number is 678-789-6675. You can also email me at rhunt@OTG, Oscar Tango, Georgia, PodcastTechnology.com. I take your phone calls. If it's an unknown number, like I said before, I usually let it go to voicemail. Leave a voicemail. If you don't leave a voicemail, you won't get a call back. You can text me. I will definitely respond back to texts to help you out with that as well. So yeah.
Awesome. We appreciate that. Now, as I put my information up there, I want you, Jim, first tell our viewers what would be the one thing you would want them to take away with our time on the podcast.
Well, besides the fact that you're such a nice guy, is there something else?
Well, no. What are they gonna? What
All right.
information that
Yeah,
would you
certainly.
want them to focus on that you
Yeah.
can
So
share?
certainly, if you need or know somebody that would even like another quote for commercial cleaning, even if you're not looking at making a change now, certainly I would like you to contact me. But the bigger takeaway is I would like you to, if you own a business, or even, I don't know if Richard does that, but if you own a business for sure, whether you run out of your home or a physical office, you need somebody like Richard Hunt and OTG Technology on your side. You need to talk to him. You need to develop a relationship with him, because guess what? You're going to need him. So
Yes.
if you think you're not gonna, think again. You may go your whole life and not need a commercial cleaning company, but you're gonna need Richard. That's like needing a doctor. He's your doctor for all your technology stuff. So I would definitely say give Richard a call and talk to him, and just be ready.
Awesome. Now, Richard, you also get to tell our viewers what would be the one thing you want them to take home from your time on the podcast.
Look, I just want everybody to be safe out there on the internet, in their emails. Look, if you don't call me, great, but you need to find somebody locally that you know and trust, to be able to call in circumstances that you end up falling in. Look, you may not use them for a while, but you need to find somebody. You need to find them.
Awesome. Hey, guys, I want to thank you all for being the guest on the Commercial Collaborator / Connector podcast. Thank you very much. You guys have an awesome day. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, guys.